Hey everybody, it's Marianne with Spirit Team Marianne, and as promised, I'm going to do a little bit more of an in-depth video on spiritual awakenings. Spiritual awakenings, also called enlightenment, also called a soul awakening, or as I like to call it, a soul remembering. What is all of that? What is it? It is simply this. It is finding out who you truly are on a much deeper level. Not, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a professional, work here, I work there, I do this, I do that. Those are labels. Those are labels that we give ourselves. A spiritual awakening, a soul remembering, whatever you want to call it, enlightenment, is finding out who you are on a much deeper level. For me, it is my soul remembering who I am. And going through a spiritual awakening or a soul remembering is traumatic, and it awakens everything inside of you, and it causes you to purge, get rid of garbage that no longer serves you, and it forces you to go deep inside yourself to make amends with yourself and to become a spiritual being. And I use that term spiritual being because we are spiritual beings in a physical body. Now we can label ourselves, and that's okay if that's what you want to do. But a spiritual awakening is going to cause you to go deep inside of yourself, and it's going to challenge you to redefine yourself and find out who you really are. Now, that said, like I said, it is life-changing, life-transforming. It is an amazing thing. As we go through spiritual awakenings, it can be really, really traumatic. And there are many different levels of spiritual awakenings. You know, some can be kind of mild, some can be a little more intense, and then there are others that are, oh my gosh, they are over the top ridiculous. But at any rate, a spiritual awakening sort of follows the same kind of pattern. Everybody sort of kind of goes through the same stuff. And the first thing you start to go through is that feeling of life just sort of against you. And what I mean by that is your car breaks down, all of a sudden, you're not financially stable as you used to be, or your babysitter quit and now you don't know how to, find a babysitter quickly enough, and, you don't have enough money to buy food or fix a car or, um, you know, um, fix the roof on the house, and you've got all of this stuff, relationships falling apart, and, it feels like everybody's against you. The world is against you. The universe is against you, and nothing is working out. Everything you try, and gosh darn it, you think you're doing everything right, and it's just not working out. Life is just all of a sudden totally against you. That is kind of the first step. That's like the first feeling of, oh my goodness, what is going on here? So the second thing that happens is the life traumas start to surface. Life traumas. And, they can be nonsense things, or so we think. They can be life traumas that for normal people, I guess, if you want to say normal, we're all normal, would just dismiss, and it's like, yeah, no big deal. And for you, it was probably no big deal until now. And now, all of a sudden, it's a big deal. And what I mean by life traumas is everything. Every single thing in your life that was traumatic. And it goes way back to when you were tiny. So, for example, you're 2 years old and someone stuck their tongue out at you. Well, as an adult, you think, ugh, whatever, somebody stuck their tongue out at me, no big deal. What the heck, you know? But all of a sudden, that starts to surface. And all of a sudden, you're really hurt and you're like, what the heck? You know, why is something that happened when I was a little bitty kid bothering me? I mean, that's just ridiculous. Why? It's a life trauma. Put yourself in the shoes of your 2-year-old self and somebody stuck their tongue out at you. It was hurtful. It hurt. It hurt deeply and it made you cry. It made you feel bad. Somebody called you a name. Somebody pulled your hair, you know. Those are life traumas. Amazing life traumas that come back to haunt you. And it is not just what people have done to you. It is also life traumas of what you have done to someone else. So if you stuck your tongue out at somebody and that all of a sudden starts to surface and you're like, ooh, that's weird that I remember that, but oh my gosh, I feel really bad about that. I feel really bad about that. It's a life trauma. It's a life trauma. And the key to these life traumas, you have to acknowledge them. You can't just push them aside. You have to acknowledge them. You have to do the work on them. You need to acknowledge it. You need to accept it. You need to understand it. You need to work through it. And then you have to let it go. And if you do all of that and you let it go, you can never, ever take it back. Because the minute you take it back or it comes back and surfaces again, you didn't do the work. And that means you got to start all over again with that trauma. You need to start over again and accept it. You need to understand it. You need to work through it. You need to take ownership of it, and then you have to let it go. When it never ever comes up again, you have finally done the work and worked through it. And the reason that we have to do this is because we need to shed, purge, get rid of all the garbage in this physical body of ours, in our brains, in our souls, in our being. We have to get rid of all of that garbage that serves no purpose. All it does is weigh you down. Now, we are beings of light. We are light workers. And in order to do our work, we have to be able to carry more light. We cannot carry more light if we are weighed down by garbage. And we are so full of garbage. We have to let go of the garbage. Only then can we take in the amazing light, the enlightenment, and become more aware, awareness, awakening, to be what we are. What we are. That wonderful spiritual awakening that happens, that transforms us into amazing, amazing spiritual beings. So, that's not the end. So, not only do we have, this feeling of the whole universe is against us, and we have these life traumas that come up, we also start to feel like we're crazy. That we're absolutely crazy. And, again, all of this stuff is normal. You're not crazy. You're not crazy. You may start to shake. You can't sleep at night. You can't eat. You got all this stuff going on in your head. You've got everything going on around you. you're not crazy. You're going to have this feeling of being, feeling like you're crazy. You're not crazy. There's more that goes along to that feeling of crazy, because along with that feeling of crazy is loneliness. All of a sudden, you feel very alone. You feel alone because who the heck are you going to talk to about this? You're going to try and find somebody to talk to, and they're going to go, yeah, okay, you're nuts. What the heck? You know? And then you find out that nobody understands you. Nobody understands. So that lack of understanding, what happens, when you start feeling crazy and all this crazy stuff is going on, and you desperately want to mention it to somebody, and you kind of try to, and then they're like, ooh, yeah, no, back away. And then all of a sudden they back away, and people just sort of walk out of your life. Those people that you thought would be there for you, they're not. They're not. If you're lucky and you have some, hold on to them. Let them be a part of your journey. But most of the time, they're not, because they don't understand what you're going through. It is very difficult to communicate to somebody these emotions and these things that are going on. And then again, that feeling of, oh my God, I'm going crazy. Listen, I thought I was going crazy too. I thought I had an aneurysm. I thought I had a brain tumor. I thought maybe I'm schizophrenic, but I'm not any of that. I didn't have any of that. It is absolutely normal. It is normal to feel all of this. It is necessary that we go through all of this. So, you've got that life of yours that feels like it's falling apart, in front of you. Your whole world is crumbling. You feel like you're going crazy. You've got life traumas that are popping up like crazy, left and right, left and right, left and right. You've got people that are walking out of your life. People aren't there. They're not understanding. And, how do you navigate all of that? How do you navigate it? Work through it. Work through it. It is absolutely normal. There is nothing wrong with you. It is not dangerous. It can be scary, but it's normal. It's absolutely normal. So what happens, after you go through all this, you've worked through all of this, you start to realize who you are. You start to realize that a lot of that baggage and crap that you carried around was just a bunch of nonsense. And so the transformation starts to happen in all of this. In all of this stuff, this transformation starts to happen. And in your spiritual awakening, your soul remembrance, you start to see yourself in a different way. You will look in the mirror, and maybe at first you don't quite recognize who it is that's staring back at you. And you kind of stare at that person and you're like, whoa, I don't even know who this is. It looks like me. Is that me? And it's okay, and that's normal, because what's happening is you're getting rid of all the junk that no longer belongs. It's the same thing with people. We will start to understand that there are people that are in our lives that serve no purpose. They are toxic. They hold us back. And people like that, we have to let go of. You can't hold on to things that hold you back, that tie you down. And sometimes those people will move on and break away from you. That can be traumatic as well, especially if it's a lifelong friend or something, or even a spouse, and then all of a sudden it just falls apart. it can be very traumatic. But just know that for your spiritual being, it is necessary. It is necessary. And they do not serve the long-term purpose for you. So as you transform and as you go through all of this stuff, you find out that all of a sudden you have peace. You feel lighter. You have more peace. You have this understanding about yourself. You have this understanding of something bigger. You have this understanding of other people. And pretty soon, probably unbeknownst to you, as you go on, you start to realize that when things sort of kind of hit you out of the blue, things aren't going exactly right, or something pops up, that you learned to identify that so fast, and that you're able to understand it and work through it so quickly that things just, you may have a day or two that's just, but then, as you very quickly work through that, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can breathe again. It is an amazing transformation that takes place. Everyone's journey is going to be different. But when we go through these soul remembrances and these, enlightenments and spiritual awakenings, just remember, it is you, your soul, that is piercing through. And it is time for you to transform into that amazing, beautiful, spiritual person that you are. Just remember that. This is all for your greatest good, for your greatest good, for the highest good in love and light. It is not going to hurt you, ever. It is not going to hurt you. It makes you a much better person. Just remember that. So I leave you with immense love and light. And again, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out. I am available in comments. I am available through email. And I wish you nothing but the best on your amazing journey. And just remember, it is your soul piercing through to remind you of who you really are. See you later.